And that's actually something we didn't cover when we were talking about Camp Alabama, which is one of the huge hurdles we ran into during that same time period is our jail closed. Like lots of jails, they were not taking low-level offenses. And so at the same time, our laws were a mess, drugs were legal, crime is running rampant. No one's taking misdemeanor crimes. And so now, and that was for a couple of years, we were not putting people in jail. And so it was just a horrible, perfect storm. Yeah. Flash forward to, we've now regrouped. We got our feet under us. We've got these laws that are enforceable. The jail is now accepting these offenses, and we are using them as a tool to say, here is the education. We highly encourage you to take this resource that we've made available to you to help yourself. But if you're not willing to, we will put you in jail. And contrary to what people will say, for example, we will take someone to jail for unlawful camping or trespassing or something like that. And the naysayers will say, well, that's what they want. They want to go to jail.
Oh, no.
It is not what they want. Well, it's a warm bed and a meal. And it is that. I'm here to tell you, they do not want to go to jail. Now, maybe occasionally on a snowy night, someone's like, jail would be better than this. But for the most part, no one wants to go to jail. They are not looking to be arrested. And so I push back on that. That has not been my experience.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Through my career, there's been a person now and then that it seems like this person just wants to go to jail for whatever silly reason.
Yeah.
But that is, rare.
Right.
People want to not go to jail. And they're often motivated by drug use.
Right.
You got to get sober in jail.
Right.
And it isn't fun in jail. Like if you've never been to jail, it's not fun.
And the novelty of, well, it's warm here and the food is whatever, wears off really quick, because we just talked about how there's food drop-offs at these places every night. No one should be going hungry in our community right now. There are so many resources for food. So I would push back to say that there are people who are on the street struggling with food shortage, because there's so much food available. And
our homeless population, I bet, mirrors what the U.S. population is. I heard there's a recent stat, over 50% of U.S. citizens are obese.
Yeah.
Same for our homeless population.
So if anywhere where these individuals are collecting, you will find just cans of food, rotten bread, rotten meat, there's an abundance to the point where it's going to waste on the street corners. It's just in heaps and piles, which is one of the biggest things we were cleaning out of the camp when we had the old camp, was we would pull in dump trucks and just collect blankets and clothes and food waste and just all these donated items just going into the dumpster, because there's only so much you can eat in one day. And so we've got our legs under us. The jail's open. We've got some laws in place. What will be your team is out giving resources, providing education. The police officers are out giving resources, providing education. The community outreach coordinator, still working under the city government, is providing resources, connecting individuals. And the camp closes and people are displaced and we're back to arresting people. But now we have the tools available, the jail's open, and we are not messing around. We are breaking up camps daily. We are really enforcing laws for anybody who's a holdout. After all of this education and encouragement, anybody who is still digging in and defying the law is doing it intentionally and is refusing to accept the resources that have been made available to them. And our community made it very clear, we will not tolerate this. And so the police department takes a strict, low discretion position on enforcing these laws. And so folks are going to jail. Every day, numerous folks are going to jail. And so that you're working as a sergeant on patrol, that is working. We are seeing that change behavior. Contrary to what we just said earlier, like, people do not want to go to jail. So we're seeing it change behavior. People who don't have ties to this community, the immigrant, and I don't mean like international immigrants. I mean people who came here from other United States communities. They're leaving.
Out of towners.
They're going to a place where they feel like where they're more welcome by the community. This community, low tolerance for it. And so those individuals are leaving, and we see the population of holdouts shrinking and shrinking and shrinking through enforcement and the education and availability of resources. There's another issue that kind of coexists with this issue, and that is abandoned vehicles, abandoned vehicles on the streets and RVs on the streets that people are using for housing. And at the same time, like I said, coexisting, we're getting complaints about these issues. And you hit that head on also.
Yeah, the quality of life things, the broken windows theory has become controversial. As a street cop, I was venture to guess most street cops out there has their own broken windows thing that has happened, where the theory being you put a broken window vehicle out, it's going to attract more crime, more windows going to get broken. You put an intact vehicle out, it'll stay intact. There's way more nuance and other things into it, but the core of it, when you have the sight of a derelict vehicle, it tends to attract more derelict vehicles. A problem seems to attract more problem areas, and we talk about revitalizing blocks and cities by you start making them look better and they start to be better. So yeah, we had hundreds, if not over 1,000 reports of abandoned vehicles or RVs or just other type things stored on the city streets. So me and a couple of our community service officers decided to do a blitz campaign to just remove these derelict vehicles that were like literally melting into the city streets. Some of them looked like you needed to mow around them so you could actually see them, the grass growing up around them on the paved city street. Cars that hadn't been registered for years, just sitting collecting moss. So to help out the people in the neighborhoods, we used a bunch of our local tow companies. A couple tow companies promised to give us 1 or 2 tow trucks, and one tow company offered to give us as many drivers as we needed for the days that we were going to do it. And we utilized everything we could to legally remove as many vehicles as we could off the street, tagging and towing them to make a better area so people actually park. We had people come out, would be clapping that we're towing vehicles that hadn't been able to park there for years. People I have been lived here for years, and that whatever it was has been across the street. And you just it's nice when people come out and clap for you for towing a vehicle.
So we were doing strict enforcement. The behavioral health unit's still doing their thing, and that program is evolving to, let's jump all the way to January 2024. The program takes its most dramatic shift probably since its creation, and then the adoption or bringing them in-house. January 2024, the chief creates a sergeant position to create a crisis responder unit that's supervised directly by a sergeant assigned to that unit, and adds the community outreach coordinator as now a police department employee. So you have crisis responders, which at the time there were 6 positions. Mm-hmm. I don't believe they're all filled. They're still not all filled, but let's say there were 5. Are there 5 now?
We have 5
crisis responders of varying from master's level to bachelor's level, et cetera, of experience and degrees. The community outreach coordinator and a sergeant now make up this team, this like Swiss Army knife team that over the years since its creation, we've slowly morphed into this team that now has an enforcement wing with direct supervision, a police officer with firsthand knowledge of the laws, a direct conduit back to what the rest of the police department's doing. And now you have this Swiss Army knife of tools in the behavioral health unit, which now is your full-time job.
Right. The way I approached this was to go, what can I do to fit in with your group? Mm-hmm. Not here's what needs to get done. Because they were already up and running, and I needed to learn what their limitations were, what was hindering them from moving forward. And one of the things that came up with was that the consistency is in supervision or access to an officer wasn't there. Now they had a supervisor that they reported to for some back end things like who does your time card and all that stuff. But on the day to day, they would talk to the patrol supervisor, which that rotates through every shift. There's a new supervisor every day. There could be a different officer in charge. So they didn't have a consistency and someone they could go to that had like back knowledge and or just knowledge of mental health issues and or of the people. So they would have to spend time on Supervisor A to Supervisor B, like, hey, yesterday Supervisor A said this person needs to do this. Supervisor B maybe doesn't want to toe that line or maybe wants to go a different way. So they lack that consistency. And that's where I went, how can I fill in that gap? And that's what I believe has made the difference. And for us to go to next levels is I'm out there, I know the people generally and or have a good understanding because we staff regularly what the clients that they have. So I will have an idea of who they're working with or who they're looking at. Hey, this person is starting to become dysregulated. They are going to need some help. I know ahead of time for if it does become a police officer necessary call. Our crisis responders don't have the ability to involuntarily take people to the hospital. We call it ITA, Involuntary Treatment Act. They don't have those credentials. The people that do would be, in our state, are DCR, designated crisis responder, doctors, and police officers. So on the functional day-to-day, police officers are often called to situations where people have either homicidal or suicidal thoughts or are gravely disabled, and the officer has to make an assessment. Now, am I going to involuntarily take this person to the next level of care, be it the hospital, or are they going to remain here on the street or at their home? Another thing we didn't talk about, there were some changes in our laws over the 21 to 23, where legislature made it clear they do not want officers using force on people that have not committed a crime.